Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rise. You are in for an enormous treat today because I have the incredible, the brilliant, the talented Jen Gaudet here with me. Jen, you're in Houston right now, right? I want to make sure you travel a lot. So, okay, good. So you're joining us from Houston. And as you all know, when we have guests on the show, when it's not a solo episode, we're really going to be diving into Jen's journey as a visionary and an entrepreneur and talk about, maybe a specific milestone. Jen, we're going to talk about something that's happened that has been incredibly significant or fulfilling. And we're going to unpack what it took to get there. You have done a lot. So we could come at this from so many areas, and I'm excited to see where we have not decided this, you guys. Like, we're going to just go in an organic way, and we're going to let Jen share her brilliance with us. But you want to, this will come out in Jen's story, but Jen, you've worked in healthcare, you've worked in the coaching space, you've worked in leadership, you're an investor, you're in mergers and acquisitions. You have built and are building an empire, multiple revenue streams, and always from a place I experience you from service and from passion. And that is just such an exciting vortex, to be coming from. And so you guys will have all in the notes. Jen hosts 2 TV shows. You have your own, you're on podcasts all the time. You're traveling the world. You're speaking at huge conferences. You're on big stages. You have a business. You're consulting. There is very few things you're not doing in the personal growth and coaching space as a thought leader as well, right? That's our words here, right? And so I'm really excited to get into this conversation, and welcome to The Rise.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And when you said, like, what was that pivotal moment or where was the transformation? Girl, it's an ongoing journey. Every time there's a next level, I have to do inner work to get there. So pick your poison. What's your preference?
Right. Which one we're going to do? Well, let's do this. Jen, you and I met at, we were in like it's funny, ironically, I was there, but we met at the Health Coach Institute, which is really a training curriculum for people typically in the health space, which you were at that time. I never was. I was in the thought leader in the book space, but I was looking for their program around coaching mastery. Right. And that was their holistic MBA, right? That we were doing various programs there. So let's talk about, I think you've had so many significant moments, and, what focus on the transition from healthcare. You were working in patient rehab. Tell us a little bit about what was going on when you were in the health space, and then we'll look at how you really stepped into visionary entrepreneur.
Yeah. Sounds good. So, I was in sports medicine for 20 years. I'm a physical therapist by trade. I've got a degree in psychology. I worked with elite athletes and I helped them get to the next level. I did it as a human performance, and I also did it in the rehab space.
Right.
And when we met when I was in the mastery program, that was 2017. I had already hit like the lowest low of my life in 2016 because I completely burned out. I am a giver by nature. And so I was giving until it hurt. I almost lost my marriage. I was not in great health. There was a whole lot of things that went into that. Everyone on the outside looking in was like, wow, you have it all. You're successful. You work with like professional athletes and celebrity. Like, everybody wanted to be me when they looked at what I was doing, but I didn't want to be me.
Oh, and can we unpack that for a minute? Because that is a special kind of, a unique kind of pain. When we on the outside feel like we've got it going on, and I worked a corporate job, people are like, oh, you're flying first class, you're going on photo shoots, and I was dying inside. And so what, can you just speak a little into that? Because there could be people listening that are in that moment.
Yeah, sure. I'm of an age and a generation where I was brought up that you're going to go to college, you're going to get a job, you're going to do everything you can, and you're going to work that job for 30, 40 years. You're going to retire, and that you want to be the best that you can be. And I was an athlete. And so I've always been what is defined as a high performer, which is a top 1%er in anything that I do, because I have an athlete's mindset. I was very competitive in soccer as a kid and a teenager, and I chose academia over because, of course, women's sports in the 90s didn't pay anything and still don't. And I wanted to go into medicine to really help people and make a difference. So that was ingrained in me forever. And, you go to medical school and you get out and you grind and you finally get to where you're recognized as one of the leaders in the industry. And I was actually loving it until I didn't.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of shift that has happened in healthcare over the years, and it became
Mm,
not what was best for the patient or best for the athlete, but what is best according to the payer source, or according to whatever state you were in. And like it became, they tried to put me in a box. I guess that's the best thing to say is it really was a shift when I moved. I'm from Louisiana. When I moved from Louisiana to Texas, Texas had a lot more of a box
mm,
around what you can do in your practice. And even though I had degrees and licensures in different areas in addition to physical therapy, you have to pick one here. Um,
right.
and so it became very fragmented and disjointed. And as a result, the result, like I'm results driven because I'm a high performer and I want to get them back on the field because that's what they want. And that, like, I want to get them to the Olympics and to the gold. And, I was kind of like hamstringed by that. And so slowly, even though I was showing up and doing my best, that
Mm,
was eating away a little bit at a time. And, in Madison, there is a toxic culture. You cannot say you're burned out. You cannot take time off
mm,
when you're sick. There's all
mm.
this pressure. You don't want to put your team out. Like everybody's relying on you. So, like, you don't take time off. And I think it was like a perfect storm. And finally, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm taking a vacation. And my husband and I flew halfway around the world. Not really. I mean, it was in the Caribbean, but it took us like all day to travel because we went to a private island in the Grenadines. It's like
Wow.
a puddle hopper and a
Yes.
boat and all the things to get there. And like it was to rekindle because I felt so disconnected from like my partner in life. I
Yes.
gave everything to medical and to my patients and my teams. And he asked me he's like, I can't do this anymore. I think we need to get divorced. And like, I couldn't do that. Like that was a gut punch and a reality check for me. So that was like rock bottom because to me, it doesn't matter that you make good money. It doesn't matter that you're the top of your field and people are seeking you out as the expert in the space. And I literally was that if your home life is not okay and if you're in pain all the time. And so like I had to make a real hard look and I didn't even know what happiness was anymore because I had been a mom, I had been living all of my free time was devoted to I need to raise the child. Like there's so many things that pull on us in society. And so I pretty much had given away pieces of me along the way and got to this point where I had to ask myself, do I want this? And the answer was no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. And so I needed to make a drastic change. But Sarah, like you caught me like when I was in mastery, like I literally Googled, I'm like, I need to do something. I need to do something. And so
Yes.
I was already part-time and I'm like, I have to find who I am again. And that's where, a lot of the growth has to happen. And it's a common story.
Well, what I'm loving about this, like you said, we wish that people wouldn't be able to identify, with these moments where you get to a place, even if you first loved something, or maybe just went in because you felt obligated, right? All the conditioning, like you said, this is the path you're supposed to do, Jen, and what I love if we break down the steps here is, the first step was finally to say, I don't want this anymore. Right. It's that acknowledgement of, I remember a moment I looked at like my boss's 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 boss in the big, corner office suite. And I was like, I don't want that job. I don't want any of the jobs in between. It's like, what am I doing here? Right. Like that's so powerful. And then giving yourself that space, like to fly somewhere. I mean, I think the geographic, separation can be powerful. If I'm kind of pulling out of what you're sharing, like you get some space where you can see again and say, wait, what's actually important to me? Right. And you realize I do care about my marriage. I'm not okay with just choosing money or my career over this relationship. And then it was the quest to find you and where you're going again. Right. So where did that take you? Like, what was that? Like how long, we hear these stories and it's like, and then I made $8 million. Right. And it's like, yeah. Okay. And so was it like 40 days in the desert? Was it years? Like what did that process look like?
So, I mean, like, I think we opened up with it's continually a process. Like, I had to understand that life is a journey. It started with being away and having that gut check that he wasn't okay in our relationship. And I mean, like, he's my human. Like, anybody who knows
Yes.
us or has seen us together, like, he's my human. So I knew that beyond anything, and I knew I needed to change because it was what I was bringing. But we also needed to change as a unit. Like it required self growth on both parts. So it started with knowing that it needed to change. And then it was like, okay, I'm an action taker. Like I was recently diagnosed as someone who manifests the impossible.
Yes.
So that's evidently my genius talent. I did this thing, and it's because as soon as I get an idea of something, I don't think about it. If I can see a possible outcome, one outcome, doesn't even have to be the outcome that I'm desiring. Like if I can see a possible outcome that is a little bit better than where I am today, I just jump. I don't know how it's going to happen. I just do it, and I know that I'm a high performer. I'm going to do whatever the heck it takes to figure it
Yeah.
out along the way. And so that first jump was coaching. And that first jump was going down to part-time in the medical field so that I could pursue the holistic MBA and really do some of that other outside stuff. But it was an internal journey too. So it started there. And of course I had coaching. I had life coaching, and that's how I came into this is
Right.
what I want to do. I don't want to be a health coach. I like that doesn't do anything for me. But what I want to do is help other people like me. And, as I did my work and started sharing it, because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm no BS. And like, I'm like an open book. You can ask me anything. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. I don't have problems being vulnerable. I don't have problems sharing things. I'm just real. And I don't know how to be other than that. Uh,
Mm.
but I started sharing that, and people started asking me to come share for big groups very rapidly. So I got up and I was talking to church groups and Rotary clubs and groups of entrepreneurs and healthcare. And all of a sudden I was just sharing my story and sharing how I got out of burnout. Because that's what it is. It was extreme burnout.
Yeah.
It was extreme compassion fatigue, and it was being lost as a human. And so like I literally started talking on stages. Anybody who wanted to have me, I would go and have
Yes.
talk, because what happened and what transpired is when I shared and I said, this is not okay. I am not okay. I have to make a change. By me sharing that, other people in the room gave themselves permission to do the same. And
Yes.
so, like, I've got shivers right now because this was really transformational for me. And long story short, I wrote my book in 2019. I spoke on 7 continents about setting boundaries and the art of saying no. Really, what it is, it's about living a healthy lifestyle and living for you, not for someone else.
Yes.
Taking permission away from everyone else to have an input or an impact on your happiness and your
Mm.
path. But it really was sharing every step of the way that helped me build my coaching practice. And because of that, get on stages. And because of that, have the book. And because of
Yes.
that, look, I mean, now I'm on television. Like, I hate that. That's another big transformation because I don't like cameras. I don't like to be on camera. I won't even listen to the sound of my own voice. I don't like it. But the reality is sometimes when there is a problem as an entrepreneur, and you know this, and all of your thought leaders know this too, we solve big world problems. If we are impact driven and we want to make a difference in the world, doesn't matter if it's in medicine or coaching or, investing or whatever we choose. If we know we have the ability to do something, we have a responsibility to show up. And no matter how much I don't want to be seen, because
Yeah.
I don't, I am truly a coach, Sarah. I would be more than happy to make everybody else shine and no one know who the heck I am.
Yeah.
Like, it is a struggle to be visible every single step of the way, whether I'm speaking on stage or I'm on television. Every Friday, I have to put myself in the game to be on TV. But the message is more important than any of my discomfort, because I don't want other people, especially other women and especially high performing women, to go through the same thing that I went through, because no one should have to.
Yeah, this is so cool. Whenever, we think about make the mission bigger than the fear, and the resistance is a really big theme, Jen, that I'm feeling in your story, because it's like there's all kinds of things. How people say, "Oh, if it doesn't feel good, it's not your thing." I'm like, there's all kinds of things that are required sometimes of the vision, that the vision requires rather.
Mhm.
And it isn't our preference of like, oh, I'd love to be behind the scene. I thought, oh, I'm a writer. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to have any pictures. Well, not in today's day and age. You better have, the social media and all this stuff. And so I love, it's like making the mission bigger than our resistances or the things that aren't the most natural place. And let's talk about what life looks like today. So, because you've grown, I mean, think about you shared with us kind of that really dark place. Your husband says, I want a divorce. I'm not doing this anymore. And he's your person. And you're like, whoa, time to, really do a whole check on life and an overhaul. And as you said, it's not stopping. I don't ever feel like there's a day either I don't have some kind of fear that I face or that is not challenging me and stretching me. I just don't, I haven't had one. I'm like, when's that? I don't know what that day is, but it has never happened since I've become an entrepreneur. And I hope it doesn't really anymore because that's stagnation, right? So let's paint the picture of like what's obviously you're still married, right? That worked. You
Yes.
guys are. So tell us a little bit about what's happening today.
Yeah. So I travel a lot by choice. I enjoy being on stages and in other locations because what I have found through, I mean, and we're talking about 7 years now that I've been on this path. What I have found is when I take myself out of my home environment and I am in different cultures or I am in different, and by different cultures, it could be like it could be a different state in the country because I'm in the US, you're in the US, like different states have different kind of cultures around them. I'm from New Orleans. We're kind of laid back, laissez-faire. I'm not personally, but my life today is it's a lot of travel,
Mhm.
and it's travel with purpose. So my whole intention every morning is how am I going to make a big impact on the world? And it is my goal to impact 1 million lives per annum. And so if something is moving forward in alignment with my vision, I say yes. Like I say yes. And so, if I take a snapshot, I'm currently in Houston,
Yeah.
and will be for some time because my daughter is expecting. So any day now, I'm going to have another grandbaby. Very happily married. In fact, my husband has been on his own growth journey. He's had coaching. He's become
Yeah.
a coach. He doesn't do that as his job, but he's done the work as well. And we are growing together into everything that we're doing. And we're balanced. So it's really nice to be able to, we just had lunch together and we took an hour and we sat and we talked and we're like, it doesn't matter. The world could be burning down. We're going to spend our time together. We have date nights. I now have non-negotiable time for my
Yes.
grandbabies, for my daughter, for my parents, for me, for my husband. And nothing can overwrite that. And
Mm.
when it comes to business, and I own multiple and I do a lot of things, and people are like, how do you have the time? It's not time management anymore, Sarah. It's
Yeah.
energy management.
Yes.
Am I making an impact? Is it in alignment with my vision, mission, purpose, and direction? And then if I feel inspired to do it, then I say yes. And
Yes.
I have learned that that's an energy management thing rather than a time management. And even when it comes down to a lot of people want my time. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not going to lie, it's not easy to be on TV.
Mhm.
I get thousands of emails every single week and everybody wants a piece of my time. But if you're not a +2 on my energy scale, you don't get my time anymore because it spins me off and it's decreasing or it's pulling me down. If it's going to pull me down, I can't show up in my best self and I can't spill over into other people.
Mhm.
So I really have looked at everything as, am I super 10 out of 10 pumped to do this? It's in alignment. I feel jazzed. There's no like ick behind it. I really leaned
Yes.
into that. And I'm not going to lie here. Say nothing ever is. Sometimes you say yes to things and it's great until it isn't because that other person is not growing or that event or whatever has evolved and it's no longer a good fit. But there's seasons in life. I just have learned to pay very close attention to how aligned is it with me? Am I enjoying it? Am I enjoying the people I'm doing it with? And if I'm like super charged, then I'm like, what am I doing and who am I doing it with? And I want more of this
Yes.
because that tells me that I am helping people. I am showing up as my best self. I am surrounded by people who make me feel like I can do that. And do they kick me in the pants? Yes. It doesn't mean that we're blowing rainbows up each other's bums.
Right.
What it really means is if you and I, like you and I, we both spoke at an event, like the people in that room, who are we together with? What is coming out of this? Are we truly getting creative thoughts by being together and having a conversation? And are
Yes.
we serving? Like that elevation of creativity only comes when we're aligned. And I've done a tremendous amount of work. And anytime I feel something's not right, the first thing I do is look in the mirror and I go, okay, well, how am I showing up?
Yeah.
Is it me?
For sure.
Because
For sure.
70% of the time it is. I said yes to something that's no longer a good fit. What do I need to do to unwind this? I have no problem selling a business or unwinding out of an investment or doing something if it's no longer a good fit for me, because 70% of the time it is me. And the rest of the time it's, well, this person isn't growing along with me or they've changed or their situation has changed because that's life.
Of
And
course.
and we can love them where they are and support them and let them go at the same time.
Absolutely. And that's something that we don't get taught a lot in a lot of cultures. And it's such a powerful, I mean, there are so many pieces here for everyone listening. A homework I want to give, since Jen and I are, initially trained as coaches, is to do an energy inventory and really take, if you're not feeling, inspired, energized, passionate, like Jen is talking about, feeling that +2 energy up to your 10, your 10 out of 10. See if you can do an energetic inventory of, is this something that's dragging you below the line, Jen? If we want to talk about energy, right? If it's a minus on any way in the energy, it gets to, with love, go. It's not about abandoning people or places or things, right? And so I love like offering people that, because you really have made that a core of the way you live your life, right? What's the energetic here? It's not time management. We always find time for things that are important, but what energetically matches with your mission, your values, and what brings you more alive is what I'm hearing. What is serving the world. So
Yep.
that's the litmus test for you guys. And then Jen, since we're talking in the season of in Thought Leader Academy and here on the Rise, we're talking about abundance rising. What has the just the numbers look like from when you were at that rock bottom moment to now? Just because like this is the thing, people get afraid. I can either have money or do what I want, right? Sometimes people yeah. Right? You are living proof. So I want everyone to case build. So Jen, just, you don't have to, you can share as specifically or generally as you want, but what does it look like from that moment when it was, I want a divorce, your burnout in healthcare, to becoming a visionary entrepreneur? What do the numbers look like?
So I'm not going to lie and say it was all a rosy street, because it was not. I mean, I was a highly compensated individual in medicine, and everybody, I just like, it's hard to be in a place of abundance when everyone that you work with thinks you're crazy for making a shift. I want to start there, because financial abundance requires us to be aligned in purpose and adding great value to the world. And being in that space when I made that shift, it was hard, because I literally had no one had my back. My husband had my back once he realized what was going on, and he didn't think I joined a cult or lost my marbles.
Totally.
Which was like about a year. I'm not going to lie. Like, I was constantly justifying. And so was I successful? Yes, because I'm a high performer. So I am successful by other people's standards, no matter what I do.
Sure.
But like, it was really a grind and hard to be a 6-figure coach when I didn't have the right support network and I hadn't done the inner work.
Mm-hmm.
As I did the inner work and started really paying attention to, okay, who am I, and not wavering. And let me tell you, it's hard when you're in business and it's slim pickings, and somebody who's not in energetic alignment as a client comes in and is ready to just write that check. Like, as a business owner, sometimes you're like, man, I can't give that up. But the reality is, I learned the hard way. And I'm going to give you an example. Like, during that journey, I was on the upward trajectory. I was making, like, in my first year of coaching, I made 6 figures, multiple 6 figures. But that's because I'm a high performer. That is not normal for a lot of people, but I was not going to not, but I couldn't say, no, I don't want to work with you at a particular time, because I was in growth and it was a little slim of a month. And it was a gentleman, and I was working with predominantly men at the time. And he's like, I want to work with you. And he pursued me, and he wanted to work with me. And I did not want to work with him energetically. But finally, I was like, well, the numbers are looking pretty bad this month. So I said yes, but I didn't say yes. At the time, I think I was charging $3,000 for a coaching package, right? And and so I'm like, sure, I'll coach you, but you need to pay me $10,000 in full today, fully expecting he was going to say no.
Of course, you just think I'm going to say some ridiculous number.
Yes, because I felt uncomfortable turning it down because of where I was in my business. And that's a scarcity mindset.
Sure.
That is a scarcity mindset, and it's an inability to voice your boundaries. And I was still kind of new and learning my boundaries at the time. Well, do you know that man paid me in full right then and there? And then I was stuck.
Then you had to do it.
Deliver 12 coaching sessions. Well, I closed zero business for 2 months while I worked with him, because he was an energy vampire, and I dreaded it. And I was beating myself up for saying, for allowing it to even happen and not even thinking that was possible. But the positive is now my coaching programs were $10,000 inadvertently, because somebody had said yes to it, even if it was the wrong yes.
You got there. It was a painful road, but you got there. Yes.
Yeah. But it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
What scarcity mindset did was, I had plenty of leads. I couldn't close anything because I was so upset with myself for being out of alignment. And so as I did more inner work, um, I stopped. And one of the biggest realizations, Sarah, about abundance for me was when I show up as me and I give and I serve and I don't have any expectation, I just know that the energetic of money is going to flow back to me. As soon as I did that, I can't stop the influx of people who are attracted to me and wanting to work with me. And I get to pick. I started picking and choosing who I wanted to work with as soon as I got over that hurdle. And
Amazing.
so every next step has been that way. And investing, man, I've made some big mistakes and invested with the wrong partners because I was looking at it as it's about the deal. And the more
Mhm.
money I have coming in, the more good I can do in the world, right? So I was looking at it only as the outcome. But even in investing, if you're only focused on the dollar, if you're partnered with the wrong people, it literally grinds everything else to a halt. So I've had to learn this lesson in every single thing that I have done. But abundance is it's a mind, it's a state of mind, and it's trusting that if I show up and I'm adding value to the world, it's going to come back. And I don't know where it's going to come back from. Might not be, I mean, I'm talking to you right now, might not be you, but it might be somebody who hears this or somebody that you introduced me to, or it's going to come back. I know that. And as a result, like I've made multiple seven figures,
Right.
multiple years. And I now own multiple businesses. I'm an investor, and like my passive income is like from investments
Right.
is way more than my active income
Right.
in coaching.
Which
So
is where ultimately, many of us would love to be, right? Jen, so this is so exciting. I want everyone to think about, we have a saying in Thought Leader Academy, I am one with that. So when you hear something that inspires you, that you would love to have be your reality, we say, I am one with that. And Jen, what I'm going to offer our audience today as we get ready to conclude is an invitation for those of you listening that think, God, I would love to have this rise that Jen has been talking about that is never over. We're never done. It's going to continue forever. That's why they always say when you're done, you're dead. You know what kind of thing, right?
right.
Like still here, it means we get to continue evolving and growing and discovering and all the things. But what I really am inviting everyone into in this conversation is Jen's identity and mindset about abundance. As we talk about abundance rising, the identity of I'm a high performer, even if that hasn't been your reality. Jen, you had it, you cultivate it, you know it about yourself. I'm going to invite those of you listening to decide that for yourself today. Identity is malleable. We can revise and upgrade identity at any time we choose. That's the agency we have. So decide, claim high performer, and that the money, when we focus on service, we focus on connection, we focus on impact, that the money comes, right? Anything we decide on will be reflected back to us in our reality. Those of us that have been doing this work a while know that. And so it's so exciting, Jen, to see someone completely steeped, completely embodied in the identity of a champion and a peak performer and a elite, whether it's an elite entrepreneur or athlete, and someone who knows that when I serve, it always comes, like the abundance follows. So I'm excited for you all. I'm so grateful that you got to hear Jen's story. Jen, thank you for taking time out with any minute grandbaby coming and all the exciting things that are going on and all the travel that you have. Thank you for serving us today and helping us understand like the nucleus is that abundance mindset. Whenever you chose the lack scarcity, right? It didn't work. It hasn't for me. Choosing the abundance mindset and being in the identity of the high performer, right? You know, you're in the top 1%. And all of you listening, you would never listen to a show like The Rise if you were not identifying in that way, but let's identify even more strongly like Jen is doing. Thank you so, so much for being here, Jen.
Absolutely my pleasure. Anything I can do to serve.
Well, we're so thrilled you're here. We're going to put the links. You guys need to check. What's your favorite place to have people find you, Jen? We're going to put the links to your TV shows, your social links, everything. You'll have those, everybody all here to follow Jen. But what's your favorite place to connect with people?
I would say LinkedIn or Facebook are the two socials. Those
Perfect.
are great. Either one of them will get to me.
Amazing. So you guys find Jen on LinkedIn and on Facebook. You'll have the other ways if you want to watch Jen on TV and cheer her on as she confronts her fears about not fears anymore, but that resistance around being on camera. Thank you for showing up and being a leader, Jen, and sharing your amazing genius with all of us. And everybody, remember, we have the Abundance Rising Masterclass, April 29th, 30th, and May 1st. It's all free. You can get the link in the show notes, and we can't wait to come and join and actually do the work that Jen's talking about. We're going to do that together. Thanks, everybody. Bye.